Looking for a fast-charging, ultra-responsive stylus for your iPad? Meet the 2X Fast Charge Active Stylus Pen, designed for 2018 to 2025 Apple iPads. Take your creativity and productivity to the next level. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Man left profoundly disabled and died 2 years later after attack at petrol pump. A man was left profoundly disabled and died 2 years later after being attacked by a stranger at an Asda petrol pump. Bernard Hirsch was punched in the face and repeatedly hit with a walking stick by Tyrone Pollard at an Asda petrol pump on December 11, 2017. He suffered a bleed on the brain and was left profoundly disabled, unable to speak, write, walk, or move by himself, according to his wife. Mr. Hirsch, a master's graduate, died in March 2020, aged 43, after contracting COVID. Although COVID was recorded as the cause of death, pathologists said his brain injury contributed. Following a trial last year at Minshull Street Crown Court in Manchester, Pollard, 52, was convicted of manslaughter and grievous bodily harm. He was jailed yesterday, receiving 5 years in prison for manslaughter and 2 for grievous bodily harm, with the sentences to be run concurrently. The attack happened in Asda petrol station in Marsland Road, Sale in Greater Manchester. Jurors watched CCTV of the two men, who both had mobility issues, arriving at the petrol station. While filling up his Audi A3, Pollard began shouting at Mr. Hirsch. He then walked towards the kiosk before turning and approaching Mr. Hirsch, who was filling up his Jaguar at an assistance pump. Witnesses said they saw Pollard punch Mr. Hirsch in the face before repeatedly striking him with his walking stick. After heading inside to pay, Pollard told the cashier Mr. Hirsch did need to be at F***G pump 6, and that there was nothing wrong with him. Petrol station staff went to check on Mr. Hirsch, who had suffered a cut lip and was said to have been left dazed and stunned. Mr. Hirsch, who was suffering from nephrotic syndrome and was waiting for a kidney transplant before the attack, returned home, but didn't tell his wife what had happened. Days later, he began suffering severe headaches and vomiting. After collapsing, he was taken to Wythenshawe Hospital, where scans revealed he had a bleed on the brain. He spent 9 months in hospital before being discharged in August 2018 and returning home, where he needed 24/7 care. Mr. Hirsch was readmitted with suspected COVID-19 on March 20, 2020. He died 8 days later. During the sentencing hearing, a statement written by Mr. Hirsch's wife Marzina was read by prosecutor Michael Brady Casey. She described her husband as a caring man who lived his life to the fullest, despite his condition before the incident. The attack, she added, left him unable to speak, write, walk, or move by himself. I try to remember Bernard as he was, and not the shell of a man that he was before his death, she said. Defending, John Jones Casey said Pollard believed he had every right to defend himself, and claimed both men argued or raised issues with each other mutually. He said Pollard's actions were not premeditated, and described them as impulsive, spontaneous, and very short-lived. Judge Morris Green highlighted that Pollard struck Mr. Hirsch multiple times. He said he was satisfied at least one of the blows struck him in his head. Mitigating, Mr. Jones said Pollard is disabled himself, which could result in difficulties in custody. He also said Pollard had recently suffered bereavements. Following the hearing, Detective Sergeant Kirsty Rowe, from GMP's Trafford District, said, Pollard's senseless and totally unwarranted attack left a man with a serious bleed on the brain and drastically reduced his quality of life over 2 years until his death. His actions have left a family grieving, and all of whom have been strong and resilient in what has been an incredibly difficult few years. Pollard is now behind bars, and I hope that Bernard's family now receives some closure, as they continue to rebuild their lives following his sad passing. Get in touch with our news team by emailing us at webnews@metro.co.uk. For more stories like this, check our news page. More, body found in hunt for suspect behind Valentine's Day pub shooting. More, Trump's prized £200 million UK golf club wrecked by protesters. More, Putin has planted more Russian spies in Britain after gang caught at beach house. Never miss the biggest stories with breaking news alerts in your inbox. This site is protected by Ray CAPTCHA and the Google privacy policy and terms of service apply. Your information will be used in line with our privacy policy.